one dimensional array. So one dimensional array is an array which can be referred with a single variable name and a single subscript. You know, array is nothing but a collection of elements which can be referred with a single variable name. One dimensional array will be having only one subscript or one index. Index number is also referred to as a subscript. So it is also known as a single dimensional or a single subscripted array. Okay, so linear array is another name for the single dimensional array. In question paper, sometimes they may ask what is a linear array. So you can write about the single dimensional array. And so here we have an array called number. The size of the array is 6. And you have, as the index number is starting from 0, you will be having only index number up to 5. So we'll just see, as we had told in the beginning, arrays can either store numbers, integers, or it can be float value also, or it can store characters, right? A single character or a multiple character. So the characters, as we know, in C, we don't have a string data type. We will be using an array of characters for storing a string, right? So here the array of characters, when we are giving character by character, we have to give null character as a last character. But when we are giving it as a string in double quote, understood the difference? When we are initializing the character array with a single character, we have to give null character at the end so that John will be taken as a single string which is stored in a character array. But when we are following or when we are directly giving a string in double quotes, this is in single quote, character by character. But when we are giving in double quotes, we need not append a null character at the end. That compiler will be automatically appending it. So now after that we have seen initialization of one dimensional array. You can either initialize the array during the compile time. So in compile time, no, whatever coding we have given, if you give declaration and initialization in a single line, you can have int number of 5. Should an array start with the 0 only or it can start with 1 also? Arrays indexing, no, always it will start from 0. But if you want to avoid using the first index number, the position of first index number, you can always do. So when we are, suppose, Sahana, she was asking about whether we should start from 0. Index number will be always starting from 0, but if you want to avoid using from 0, always if you want to have first element in index number 1, you can suppose in this for loop, I'll show you. In this for loop, when we are initializing, if you want only the elements in index number 1 onwards, in the for loop, you can just change the coding as I equal to 1. It will be there, 0 will be there, but it will not be having any element in index number 0th position. Sahana, are you getting? Sahana or Sahana? Okay. So if you want the numbers to be, when a user is entering the elements for the array, if you want that to be stored only from index number 1, means you can give in the for loop I equal to 1 to I less than 100. That means it will be having only 99 elements in the array. But it always array indexing starts from 0. So in order to avoid the confusion that first element in the 0th index, second element in the first index, in order to avoid that, sometimes we can write the program with the index number starting from, or the first element in the index number 1. Is it clear? Sahna, you have any doubts, means you can ask. So when we are writing matrix program or a linear this one linear search or something, we will be using arrays. So in order to avoid confusion, you can make index number starting from, or you will be using only from index number 1. Array index will be starting from, always it will be starting from 0. So as I told, initialization of the array can be done either during the compile time. During compile time, you can have it like when you are declaring the array itself, you can assign the value. Got it? So 2 will be in the index position 0, 8 will be at index position 1, like that. So maximum 5 elements will be there in the array called num. So we are giving the size of the array also, and then we are directly assigning only 5 elements. If you give more than that, it will be giving an error. Okay. So here it will be the syntax I have given. You can first mention as you declare any other variable. Integer variable, you will be declaring how. First you have to mention the data type, integer. Then you have to give the array name, number. And then you have to give the size of the array. The maximum size we are mentioning, maximum number of elements which we can store in an array is indicated by the size. Now it is followed by the list of values within the curly bracket. Square bracket you have to mention the size, while curly bracket you have to give the numbers or the elements which you are planning to store in the array, and it should be within the curly bracket or flower bracket. Got it. Now second method is nothing that much different. We are not mentioning the size. Understood. We are not mentioning the size of the array. That's the only difference here. This is also during compile time, and the number of elements in the curly bracket will determine the size of the array. So only difference is here we are not mentioning the size. The third method is like array initialized at runtime. During runtime, how we can initialize. So in runtime, when we initialize, we are using a for loop. That means we are using a scanf statement. What is runtime? When we are running, we are getting the value for the array. We are initializing the values of the elements of the array. Only declaration we are writing in the program. Values we are not assigning, we are not initializing the array in the program. When we are running the program, that is runtime. Understood? When we are running the program, we will be asking the user to enter the elements of the array, and then we are using a scanf. How many times we are putting that scanf in a for loop. Understood? So this is applicable when we are having like a bigger arrays. Here the size of the array is 100, so we cannot assign as we did in the previous slide during runtime, during compile time. So when we are having a bigger size array, it is always good to accept the elements of the array during runtime. Runtime means it will be when we are running the program, it will be, you can give one sentence, enter the elements of the array. So you can accept it using a scanf statement. So now I will go back to that program because I think almost all of you are having that doubt in that program, no? So I'll just explain. You want me to explain with the program, Vismaya, or with the PPT? Vismaya?
Program, ma'am, I did not get. I tried, ma'am, but
okay, that errors you are telling now. Okay. Those who didn't complete, you can type it and do it along with me. You want me to type from the beginning, or how is it? I'll type new program, right? I will type anyway. Oh, this one already typed program is it? If you want to make any correction, you can do. Otherwise, I will explain the program once again. If you want, I will type the program again. New one I will type. So first, what should be done? We have to give the header file, right? Include stdio.h. Then we have to type the void main. Then what we have to do within this main function, we are going to type the program. So first, as we are planning to get the elements in an array, we are going to initialize the array. The size of the array, we are giving it as 10. As and when we are using a variable, we will declare it. Okay. So now after that, we are asking the user to enter the number of elements, right? So we are accepting in a variable called n. Even though we declare the size of the array as 10, I want all of you to send the screenshot now itself after typing, because yesterday I had explained, I'm doing it again. So you have to do it now itself. Otherwise, I will not accept your execution. Okay, so scanf %d &n. The maximum number of elements, that is, we are declaring the size of the array as 10 means you will be able to store 10 elements in the array called A. But now when I am asking the user, no, enter the number of elements, I can enter any elements lesser than or equal to 10. I'm not planning to enter 10 elements in the array. Sometimes if I want only 7, I can enter it now. Okay, so already the memory is allocated for 10 elements, but I'm using only 7 positions, depending upon the number of elements I want to sort. So n is a variable which I am using. Each time when I am running the program, I can dynamically get the input from the user, enter the number of elements. Sometimes I will be giving it as 5, sometimes I may give it as 7, 8, 9, 10, anything. Now after that, I am asking the user to enter the elements. Enter the number of elements. Now I am telling the user to enter the elements of the array. Okay. So using a for loop, we are getting the values from the user. I equal to 0 to I less than 10, less than n, I plus plus. Understood why I am using n? Because I already asked the user to enter the number of elements. So I am getting in n variable the number of elements the user want to enter. Scanf, asking the user to enter. No? So percentage d, because we are entering, we have declared an integer array, we'll be able to store only integer values. Scanf ampersand a of I, right? So we are getting values, the first element, no, it will be saved in the ith index a of 0. Understood? A of 0. Understood? In a of 0, we will be getting the value, the first element, and then we will increment the value of I, then the second element. Like that, we will be accepting n number of elements in the array. Okay, after that, we are going to sort the elements. For sorting, we are again using two for loops with the two control variables, I equal to 0 to I less than n, I plus plus, and one more control variable which we are using with the inner for loop is j equal to I plus 1 with a j less than n, j plus plus. Inside that, what we are going to do is we are going to check, that is for sorting we need, if we are going to sort the elements in ascending order means smaller numbers should be in the beginning and bigger numbers should be at the end. So here we are checking between two elements of the same array called A. Because we are checking two elements of the same array called A, we can use only the name of the array as A, but we have used two control variables. So we will make sure that if I is the control variable which is referring to the first element, J is the control variable which will be referring to the second element in the array. Understood? So if A of I in ascending order, if you want to make the elements, then the first element should be smaller than the second element. If A of I refers to the first element and A of j refers to the second element, A of I should be lesser than A of j. Opposite to that, if you have any number which is in first position greater than the second position, that means if A of I is greater than A of j, then you have to swap these two numbers. When we are swapping these two numbers, what is the technique for swapping two numbers? Nidin? Nidin, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the coding for swapping? Fast?
Yes, ma'am.
Answers are coming. Fast, that much thinking you need not. I had explained many times yesterday. Using a temporary variable, how you will be swapping the values at A of I and A of j. These days, Nitin is very quiet. I know you people are doing something else. No answer. Suhail?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell?
Temp, by using a temporary variable, temp is equals to A of I. then again a of I is equals to a of j. Then it will get swapped down. A of j is equals to temp.
Good. This is that day only I told. Very important. This one we should be knowing. Very good, Suhail. This one is used for swapping. If you are using a third variable for swapping, this is the coding, right? So temp equal to a of I and a of I equal to a of j. And then when a of j is empty, we will copy the value from temp. So this will exchange the values at a of I and a of j. So this will be executed only if the element in the first location is greater than the element in the second location. That means if it is not in ascending order. Understood? So now this after this that means we have checked and swapped all the elements only for the first element that I showed you. A of 0 is being compared with all the other remaining elements. A of 0 will be compared with A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4, like that up to A of 9. For a single value of I, when I equal to 0, you will be executing j equal to 1 to j equal to 9. Now after that, this after the execution of this inner for loop, it will go and increment the value of I. Then the value of I will be 1. When I is equal to 1, tell me what will be the value of j. Meenakshi, when I is equal to 1, when I was equal to 0, j value was from 1 to 9. When I equal to 1, what are the values of j? Meenakshi.
Ma'am, when I is equal to 1, j will become 2, ma'am.
Then what all values, up to which value it will be going? When I equal to 1, j value
Up to the number of elements you have entered,
yeah,
ma'am. Like the number of elements, if it is 5, then it will be like 5, ma'am.
Okay, it will be going less than 5. Good. So this will be, so each value of I, don't think that only once it will execute. For I equal to 0, j value from 1 to n value. Suppose it is 5, it will be going up to 4. Again, when I equal to 1, it will be going from j value equal to 2 to 4. Again, when I equal to 3, it will be from 3 to 4. Again, when I equal to 4, it will be going from 5 to 5. After that, no, when in the last element, when I is equal to, when I should be less than n, right? Suppose n value is 5, I value becomes, when I value is 4, tell me what will be the value of j. Meenakshi, when I, suppose n value is, I'll change here. Suppose n value is 5. Meenakshi, are you listening? Suppose I
Yes,
value is
ma'am.
5. When we are iterating in this, I is incremented to I equal to, don't write this and always, nobody write this, I am just changing. I equal to, suppose the current value of I is 4, up to what value, j value will be going. What will be the j value in the inner for loop? When I is equal to 4?
5, ma'am.
I
Because
to
it is I plus.
I plus 1.
So if it is 4 plus 1, it will become 5, ma'am.
5. Then what will happen?
And then because it is, you have given 5 elements. So it, ma'am, actually it should be less than 5, no, ma'am.
So will it execute
that,
or not execute?
No, ma'am, it won't.
Because j value now it is 5. 5 is not less than 5. It will not execute this code for the condition of when I equal to 4. Understood? When I is equal to 4, it will not be comparing the elements. Okay. Only when I equal to 3, it will execute j equal to 4 and only j equal to 4. When I equal to 4, it will not be going through this inner statements to be executed. So that many times this for loop will be executed. And after that, now after all these iterations, all the elements in the array will be sorted. So now we can print the elements after sorting. Elements after sorting, how to print? Now again we have to use a for loop, right? For I equal to 0 to I less than n, what we have to do? I plus plus, and then we are going to use the printf statement. Printf percentage D. And here we are printing the value of A, right? Inside that we are using the control variable I, so that for I equal to 0, it will be printing the value at the index number 0, like that. No, all elements up to the index number 9 will be printed. Now the same thing I told yesterday, the same thing we will be executing for descending order also. In ascending order, we were checking if any number is against, if any number is actually in ascending order, smaller numbers should be in the beginning and bigger numbers should be at the end. Opposite to that, if any number in the beginning, if it is greater, then only we are doing this swapping. So for the condition for descending will be what? Any number at the beginning, if it is smaller, then we have to swap. So I'm just copying the same code because we have the same thing over here, because I can, no, just to, so the same thing I'm just pasting it here for descending. And for descending, what is the only thing which we have to change is, one more thing. This you have to make it n itself, understood? We are getting the user for n elements. Only thing we have to change over here is, if A of I is less than A of j, instead of greater than, you just make a less than. Understood? Only difference for descending is we have to make instead of greater than, if any of the element in the beginning, if it is greater, or the first element if it is lesser than the second element, if it is lesser than the second element. You know what is descending order? Descending means largest number will be the first element and then it gradually will be decreasing. So when we find some element in the beginning or the first element, if it is smaller than the second element, then we have to make a swap of the elements between these two locations. So like that we will be able to bring all the elements in the descending order. So here, after execution of the same for loop, how many number of times, as we did in the previous coding, that many number of times this also will be executed, and then we will be able to print the elements after sorting in which order it is now, in descending. Descending order, and here it was what? In the beginning, if you want, you can give the sorted elements in ascending order. What some other program came? Huh? This was not the program which I was typing. 1 second. Okay, the behind program came. Okay, so if you want, you can give the elements in the elements after sorting in ascending. Then put a colon. Formatting you can do, okay, and even new line if you want, you can give. Here also elements after, if you want, you can give a new line, and at the end you can give a colon and also a new line. So it will be printed in the next line after sorting. Then here you can give a clear screen. Then enter the number of elements, a colon, enter the elements. You accept here only. Then here if you want, this you should be giving, otherwise you will not see the output, get ch. Now we will see how many errors are there. 6 errors are there because n is not defined. How many variables that we have used, but you didn't declare it, no? So we will declare n, I, j, and also the temp variable. 2 more errors. Statement missing. Come on, one bracket I missed. I think. Here one bracket of one for loop I didn't give. For this, I had opened 3 flower brackets that I should close here. Okay. For the outer for loop, inner for loop, and one if statement. This is for if, this is for the inner for loop, and this is the outer for loop. And here it is like this for loop. And the one more if I am closing is here is the main. For main, I didn't close that. What now? One more is missing. Here also I didn't put one bracket. Number of elements 6. So I can enter elements in an unsorted way, then only we will understand. Okay. Now I didn't give space between the elements. It's already sorted, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without space it came. So I'm going to give space when I'm printing. After sorting, I should give a space. So for that you can give a tab space /t. Okay. Number of elements 7. So I'm entering 2, 1, 4, 5, 9, 8, 0. It's sorted, right? Okay. All of you got it. Now I need the screenshot now itself.